Well, hold on, guys. I was just experimenting on myself. I'm doing a human experiment to see how much pain can I actually take. So, guys, today we're talking about the ugly last of U.S. human experiments uncovered. Not just U.S., all around the world. We know for a fact that humans been experimented on. What they were, what they are, were they volunteer? Were they forced? It's hard to say because a lot of these cases, we weren't there. So for in the world of YouTube, this is for entertainment purposes. A lot of this stuff is from stories, articles. So for me to tell you what's actual factual or not, that's going to be for you to choose. All right. So that's your choose. So I'm not forcing any story to say these certain people were tortured for this group, for that group. That's for you to decide. This is technically entertainment purposes. Okay, YouTube, entertainment purposes. So again, we got Dr. Wu in the background, and we got Daily Dan. Because who knows? I think Daily Dan might be a human experiment. And right now, when I play the intro, go put in your vote. All right? If you look at the vote, it's simple. Do you believe that people were experimented on without their approval? You think people were forced into experiments when they didn't give the okay? So put in your votes, yes or no, during the intro. And throughout the show, we're going to look at the votes. And I'm going to tell you guys on why this topic is even coming up. Not even Daily Dan knows exactly why I'm bringing up this topic. I think it's cool, but you're going to have to wait just a little longer to find out what the hell is Eric even bringing up this topic about human being experiments. Well, you know what? Kick back for the ride because we're going to find out. I'll see you guys all after the intro. So remember, like I always say, go find yourself a bathroom. Tell yourself Bloody Mary 3 times. To be safe, tell yourself Bloody Mary 5 times. And to come back, get some coffee, get whatever you got to do, popcorn, soda, beer. You got to smoke a little bit. Doesn't matter. Come back, relax, because we got a kick-ass show. Dr. Wu and Daily Dan. All right, see you after the intro.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass. Did you see it?
We got Daily Dan. We got Dr. Wu. Dr. Wu is still setting up, so I don't know if we're going to hear him or not yet.
Oh, greetings from South Carolina. We're live. I was checking out a good book just now, and I was reading about this werewolf of Youngstown while I was waiting for the show to come on. Everybody should check out that really good book. But it's by that guy, Michigan Rob.
Who's that?
Your book.
Who's that guy? Who's that guy? No, he's a good guy.
Required crayons to do.
Michigan Rob. He's a very nice guy, awesome person. Guys, human experiments. All through history, there's stories about people being tested on. Some against their will, some people volunteered. Yeah. What I mean by volunteer is they volunteer for, I don't know, for medical or something, and they're being injected with something they don't even know what's going into the body. So there's two types of experiments. People who've been forced to experiments and people who have not been doing experiments. So
Eric, I'm a movie and TV guy, so the first thing that comes to my mind when you bring that up is I was a teenage werewolf with Michael Landon where they were experimenting on him and he turned into a werewolf. It was kind of one of the first human experimentation movies out there.
You know, all through history. I mean, I got, you know, several videos, guys. You know, I got some videos. I even got a video on some experiments that they didn't happen, that I hate to say it, Nazi hunters really did. So I got a few videos on certain subjects of experiments. Now, here's one experiment video, guys, I'm going to show, is that a lot of places where they do experiments, where there's really two main places, prisons and VA hospitals. Bob knows that. VA hospitals.
Yeah, they do.
They like to pick on veterans. But this one, this first video I'm going to show you is about some experiments that they did with colored people in prison. This is from a real news story about actual experiments they did on people at a prison. Here we go.
It really was the Kmart of human experimentation from 1951 to 1974.
Think about that, guys, for a second. In this place,
Kmart,
they have facts that this was happening since 1951 to like 1971, whatever. So over 20 years of experiments. Like nobody cared. Nobody. I mean, it's just weird to think about. Not even one worker came out with it, or did he got shut up? I mean, how does this even go on for that long? I mean, that's a story within itself too. But let's find out what kind of experiments they did on these people.
Holmesburg prison closed in 1996, but Alan Hornblum says what happened during the 50s, 60s, and 70s will live on forever. The researcher showed us photos inside his book, Acres of Skin.
Well, what you see in this bottom picture is the prototypic experiment that took place at Holmesburg. In some cases, it could just be very plain soap. In other cases, it could be a carcinogenic chemical. The inmates were never told.
Hornblum was a...
If you guys saw that picture right here, like the guy in the news says, it could be just like a new kind of soap. So it's weird to think about even trying out a new piece of soap on somebody that they're not even sure that this is not going to cause you to break out or your skin does weird things to it. You know what I mean? It's like you got this product that you're supposed to clean yourself with, and they're testing it out on prison people because they're unsure that there's going to be a true reaction. I mean, isn't that weird itself? Before, you know,
that's an allergy test. They're doing an allergy
test. Exactly.
Yeah, well, they have the grids. You see the grids? So what they do is they put this like a sheet on you with squares, and each one of them they poke a different substance to see if you're allergic to it. So they're doing an allergy test.
Yeah, Bob. If anybody had like allergy tests like I have, they'll do this like what they call a 6-pack, where they got this little thing with all these needles, and each number of a needle is a different. It could be like a fish, it could be a shrimp, something, and when they put it on your back, they look at what red spot is brighter and which ones you're more allergic to. Cause like I found out that I was allergic to like raw meat. So I guess I'm not a vampire. And I found out that I was allergic to shrimp, which I still eat shrimp.
Yeah, shellfish.
No.
It's funny. Eric found out after the fact. We were down at the pier down in Seattle, and Eric and I were doing oyster shooters, and we're at the freaking fish place, and we're having all this fucking food. And Eric's always got like kind of a runny nose. He ain't figured it out. He figures it's the cold air or whatever. You know, it's a cold breeze. Later on, Eric found out he's allergic. Like, dude, you could have died. That's so fucking crazy.
Isn't it?
You could have died those many times.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I never met no food I didn't like.
I know.
Yeah, I'm not allergic.
I never met no food that I'm allergic to neither, so I can eat anything.
Let's see what else they were testing on these people here.
Hornblum was a literacy instructor at the prison in the 1970s when he noticed many black prisoners in bad shape. He says UPenn dermatologist Albert Kligman led experiments on prisoners. The inmates were paid $1 a day, but it cost them their health. For his book, Hornblum spoke to Dr. Kligman before he died in 2010.
He thought what took place here was fine. According to his observation, the inmates were treated fairly.
Philadelphia shut down the experiments in 1974, 2 years after the Tuskegee syphilis experiment made national headlines. But the damage to the former inmates was already done.
They have lots of fears and regrets. They never really learned what they were testing or being injected with.
Almost a half century later, a survey shows 53% of blacks view medical scientists positively compared to whites and Hispanics.
I'm not surprised at all.
Dr. Ayla Stanford heads the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium, a group of...
Well, I mean, we don't need to hear the rest of that. So basically, they go to prison, and I'm sure when you're in prison, I'm sure $1 a day back in those days was a lot of money for you in prison. It's like, yes, you could say it's volunteer, but they don't really tell you exactly what they're testing for on you, taking advantage of you for being in jail.
Well, they're in jail, man. $1 a day in prison's a lot of money, man. That's tuna fish. That's coffee, man. You know what? They're not complaining. The only people complaining are the people making the documentary. Because the prisoners didn't complain. They got freaking tuna fish, coffee. $1 a day is a lot of money, especially in the 70s.
And they probably give you a big bonus if you break out on some nasty stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you get all kinds of medical fucking leave.
Nasty stuff bonus, you know. You hope something goes wrong and you get a big rash, you get a $10 bill. So.
Oh, yeah, and plus it helps out with their parole boards. Oh, man. No, I see it as a positive.
Oh, yeah.
These guys had it solid.
You know, that's what I was thinking, like beyond just money, I bet you they were also promised that this will be considered good times in prison, that those will help you to get out even earlier.
Yeah.
Bob's like me. We both agree that you should always look on the bright side of life.
Yeah. I mean, shit, they got probably like 5 years off their sentence. Plus, they got a lot of sick call. They could just fake it. Oh, I got sick today, man. I don't know what you gave me, but I need to lay down. Then all of a sudden, they're suing the government because their bodies are all messed up later on in life. Shit.
Yeah, let's like the experiment of this show today where we all didn't have no preparation, didn't talk about nothing beforehand, and everybody was running late and we just jumped on. It's an experiment to see if we bomb or not.
You know, actually, to be honest, you know, anytime like Dr. Wu comes on, I'll tell him a title, but we don't even discuss because we don't want to discuss because we want
I don't want to discuss.
We want real answers, you know, not where you
Eric,
know, you know, you're thinking
rest assured everything today is going to be completely spontaneous, isn't it? There ain't going to be no planned dialogue on this stuff. You get the real deal.
Eric gets really excited about his stuff. He's like telling me all about it. I'm like, I just wait for the day, man. I'll just figure it out when I get there. Because Eric's annoying.
Yeah, it kind of is, man. Because every other show I ever done, they want to talk to you up in advance and get some stuff settled up and kind of discuss, at least, you know, early, a little chat session, but not Eric. Show up. I'm going to play a song. Let's rock. Bam.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how I like it.
Yeah.
It's got to be raw, man. It's got to be raw.
That's how Eric rolls, man.
That's how we roll. Nothing. There's nothing planned, faked. Everything is real here. Now, this next one.
When you're rolling down the highway, the paranormal highway, you never know what's going to happen.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Now,
right.
This next video, people in the chat, I'm going to give a disclosure because I know how the YouTube world and all that work.
A UFO disclosure?
Yeah, whatever that word is, about Nazi hunters, Nazi experimenting on people. So I want to tell people this is just a story. So don't get your panties in a bunch on this.
We just hope everybody watching has seen The Boys from Brazil and know kind of what you're talking about.
Exactly. So these are probably people who are forced to do experiments without their will. No $1 a day. No time off. These people were forced to do experiments against their will. So let's check this one out.
But Mengele didn't just let new arrivals live so they could work in the labor camps. He wanted them for medical research. His SS file reveals him as a specialist in genetics and eugenics. Mengele shared Hitler's obsession with racial purity. His dream was to copy the blonde, blue-eyed model of Aryan perfection, exemplified by members of the Hitler Youth, and then develop the means to genetically manufacture it on a massive scale.
I'm going to finish this. So, Bob, just listen to this
Yeah.
part. So basically, Hitler wanted to clone people, clone the perfect race, right? So far.
Well, there's a whole-
Eugenics.
Earlier, I brought up The Boys from Brazil. That's a whole movie about Dr. Mengele escaping to South America and doing cloning experiments on people and trying to put Hitler's DNA and grow another Hitler. He has like 19 little Hitlers that he's genetically what do you call that word? Manipulated and put in made like Hitler clones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole movie about it, man. I'm serious. Everybody should watch that. It's called The Boys from Brazil.
Yeah, they did eugenics.
Did you see that movie, Dr. Wu?
Oh yeah, I saw it. You know, to be honest with you, most people they didn't like Hitler. Even the Germans didn't like him.
Yeah, they didn't like that movie.
So they would not reclone that man. They hated him too. They tried to kill him several times, and so I highly doubt that man was recreated.
It was, people don't remember. He wasn't elected as the leader. He was just leading the military part, and he fell into power basically. He wasn't elected as a prime minister or anything.
He's actually Jewish too.
Yeah. So,
people didn't know that.
Well, let's hear more about these genetics. They're talking about these experiments here.
Yeah, they're perfect.
At Auschwitz, Mengele was particularly fascinated by identical twins. Sharing the same genetic blueprint, twins allowed him a unique opportunity to experiment on one and compare the results with the other. Now Mengele was presented with as many twins as he wanted.
These are all identical twins used for medical experiment. Hundreds of twins from all over Europe were brought to this camp. They were numbered, but their origin and even their names are unknown.
And I looked that up before even the show when I saw this video. When they researched twins, it didn't even matter if the twins were Jewish. They wanted a certain amount of people. Whoever had twins, whatever race they were all taken for this experiment.
Well, Polish. They had a lot of Polish in there too. People don't know that. There's a lot of Catholics, a lot of Polish. There's a lot of people that were not Jewish in there. There's a ton of other people.
Oh, tons.
They didn't have that many people of that faith, and they didn't have that many. So the numbers are like, when I worked at the Smithsonian, and also they have the Holocaust Museum. I used to tinker around with all their stuff, and I'm like, this ain't right. The numbers are incorrect. These are all wrong. So, I've seen a lot of their stuff.
Well, like I said, it didn't matter who had the twins. Do you have twins for the experiment? You're taken. If not, the whole family's gone.
Yeah, eugenics, man. Totally.
One of them was Eva Moses, seen here a day after liberation. Eva remembers meeting Mengele after receiving several toxic injections into her arm.
Then Mengele declared, laughing sarcastically, he said, "Too bad. She's so young. She has only 2 weeks to live." I refused to accept his verdict. I refused to die.
In all, Mengele murdered 3,000 twins. Some after chemicals were injected directly into their eyeballs. His aim? To turn the color of eyes from inferior brown to Aryan blue.
See, that's not correct. That's not correct. That's wrong. They didn't do that. because everybody has blue eyes. People don't know that. Everybody has blue eyes. It's just there's a brown. It's like the pigments of your skin. It's covered. So in fact, right now they have a laser eye surgery that turns your eyes blue by removing the pigments in your eyes. They knew that.
I'm not an expert myself on what experiments Dr. Mengele done on prisoners. I'm not, but I have seen a lot of documentaries and I have did a lot of research into that subject, and I've never heard that before neither. That's
I've never heard that.
It might be one of your Mandela effects, Dr. Wu, that now something like that exists.
Because they wouldn't do that, because it's a pigment. They know it's a pigment. So
Makes
why would
no
they put
sense whatsoever.
injections? And they know the anatomy of an eye. They know the
remember,
anatomy
they
of
were
an eye.
experimenting on these people on purpose on twins to see what happens to one happens to the other. I mean,
Yeah,
these
were they
were
going to give them glaucoma? I mean,
people.
you're squirting stuff into the. No, it doesn't do anything. They know that. Their scientists are brilliant. They knew all the stuff before they even played around. So when they come out with all this stuff, again, I looked at all this stuff and I go, this don't pan out. Some of this stuff they said they did, and in anthropology we talked about eugenics and all the stuff they did over there, and a lot of things I'm like that. No, they didn't do that. If these guys are building rockets, you think they're going to inject stuff in eyeballs? They know what the anatomy of an eyeball is. They had eye surgeons there. Why is he experimenting on anything? Because they've got their own surgeons. They've got advanced medicine. They already know a lot of things. So they did a lot of genetic tests.
Experiment on the eyes. Those are actual real video clips of bringing twins in to do experiments on.
Yeah, that's what I
were brought in to test on.
I question all the
videos. I always thought when he did the eye experiments, it was transplanting eyes from one people to the other. I never heard nothing about changing the color to blue or nothing. That sounds like some propaganda to me. But I'm just saying, I heard about the transplant surgery where they would remove one eye and stick it to another person. That's where the medical advancements we got in the modern era come from. Was the Germans did them experiments. That's how we learned how to transplant kidneys and how to transplant. I'm ranting. But that's how we learned the medical technology we got was from the research the Germans did. They get a bum rap for what they done to the Jews. And I agree that was horrible. It was atrocities, but it advanced medical research 100 years.
Yeah, based off all the information. Yeah, but there's also a flip side of a propaganda that's really, really, really insane. I'm like, wow, no, they didn't do that. Oh, who the hell is bringing this out? They didn't do. It's like the tattoos. Prisoners tattooed themselves because that way when the war is over, they can get their stuff back. It's like having your Social Security number. That way, because all the paper is going to be burned. So here's my Social Security number. So that's like me going to a place and I count my dog tag with my Social Security number on it. So they would do it to themselves. And they were talking about the Germans had, tattoo guns. I'm like, no, they didn't. They didn't. No, that they inked it. No, none of that. No, they didn't have that. No, they did a little. They did it themselves so you could have.
I disagree with Dr. Wu on that one. I believe the Germans did tattoo the numbers in the arms as a way to keep up with people because the Germans were very efficient records keepers. And the logical way to keep track of their cattle was to put a number on the arm. So I can believe that the Germans.
Well, it's smart also because if you're a guard in a camp, and you got somebody in a camp that's has lots and lots and lots of money, and the war is gonna end. Well, I'd kill that person and put their tattoo on my arm, and I would assume their name since all the guards had everybody's records. So basically, you had a big outpour of people assuming the identities of people that were there to get reparations because they used to go in the reparations office and say, "Look, I was in a camp." No, you weren't. You got evidence? All the paperwork was destroyed, but I do have this. Okay, what's your number? Okay, yeah, you're in the system. Actually, it's a guard. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we also owe you all this reparations and okay, yeah. They assumed the identity. They did a lot of that.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. The Nazis did a lot of stuff, and they did do a lot of atrocities, and they did put people in ovens and do all kind of horrible stuff. But they do get an unfair shake on a lot of things. They really do.
Shady.
Now, Roger, I do have a video talking about people with disabilities have been experimented on, and that's a fact. Now, Dana says she read the victim have said, yeah, I mean. Oh yeah,
that's what they said. I'd say it too. I mean, if I wanted to assume an identity, I'd play it off too. Yeah, they cut my toe off and switched my toes around. That's all part of the compensation package, please.
There's worse things they can cut off, Dr. Wu. Worse things they can cut off.
I know. Now, I only say this based off visual evidence. This is not some conspiracy because I was actually in the Holocaust thing, and I'm like, I'm looking at this stuff, and it don't make no sense. This don't make no sense. This guy's clearly a guard.
I was around a lot of elderly people when I was real young. That last generation, I had grandparents and I had aunts and uncles who were actually in World War II, and I'd hear a lot of war stories and a lot of stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I know a lot about that situation.
I like that. Daniela said that Hitler had blue eye or had brown eyes. Yeah, he had brown eyes.
Yeah,
he had brown eyes, and all of a sudden you see all the propaganda papers with him with blue eyes. I'm like, no, he didn't. No,
You know
he
what's
didn't.
funny?
No, he didn't.
She also wrote who voted no in the poll, because I was looking at the poll just now and I was thinking too, does somebody actually think no experiments were ever done on humans?
Oh, there's tons of experiments. They do it now.
I know.
Well, some people think, I bet I know who it was, but some people think the Earth is flat too, you know.
Yeah, well, they experimented. I volunteered for experiments.
So if they're in the chat, we know who it was that probably voted that way.
Yeah, I'm curious. Now,
I was on the front lines with Klonopin when it came out. Klonopin, what is that? They're like, we want to try you on Klonopin. Awesome. What does it do? Try it. And man, I was addicted. I loved it. I'm like, and then all of a sudden they cut it off. And they're like, no. They said, no more Klonopin for you. Why? I'm addicted to it. It's the strongest shit you'd ever had.
Actually, there's been I think a wrestler or two that OD'd on that stuff and died from it.
Now, I do.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I do have a few more videos. Now, this next one,
go for it.
It's kind of a little boring, but it's
I'm gonna make coffee while you do your video.
Yeah, it's a professor at a college doing a lecture in history of human experiments. So, yeah, it might be a little bit more boring. It's an actual lecture from a college, but it's them talking about human experiments. So let's hear an actual lecture at a college. And again, it's a lecture at college. This doesn't mean what he's saying is 100% true or not. This is just his point of view giving his lecture.
But the Department of Defense was very interested in the effects of total body irradiation. Because if there's a nuclear war,
just give people a little back before you hear this. He's basically talking about radiation, like after a nuclear blast. How long can people like survive? How can they how they can react or live with radiation? So he's talking about people having radiation after a bomb. Here we go.
And people get irradiated, are they going to be able to function? Will a pilot who's flying a plane be able to land the plane? Will they be able to fight will they be able to work? Ironically, the people they wanted to do this experiment on were precisely the people who were least likely to derive any benefit from it. We knew that certain kinds of cancer were sensitive to radiation. So irradiating those patients might expect to help them. But then the side effects of the radiation will be the side effects of the cancer, and the Department of Defense wasn't particularly interested in the effects of radiation on people with metastatic cancer. They wanted to know what the effects of radiation were on a healthy 23-year-old pilot. And that could be best studied by irradiating people whose cancers were not going to respond to the radiation. Most of the patients who were irradiated were poor. Most of the patients who were irradiated were African American. All of them had cancer. Some of them weren't all that sick. Some of them were still ambulatory. Some of them were still going to work. And the radiation had some pretty serious effects. Out of the 90 people who were irradiated, 21 of them were dead within a month.
All right. So, I mean, listen, I can't back him up because I don't know that factual, but again, like Roger was asking earlier, how they experimented on people with disabilities. Well, they experiment on people that have cancer with certain radiations and stuff. So yes, they have.
Yeah, they sure did. What's funny about that is that a lot of pilots had cancer anyway because all the gauges inside the airplanes back in World War II were they had radioactive material inside of them. That's why they glowed. They glowed like so. It'd be in their plane. They look over and all the gauges are bright colored and glowing. Why? They were all radioactive dust in there. So all the radiation, they were getting hit with radiation from all the gauges in the airplane. And then later on in life, you see all these freaking pilots in the VA with cancer. They can't figure it out. I don't know why. To Museum of Flight, we used to take in gauges all the time, and I'd have to wear a suit with a rad meter, and it'd just go off the charts. Son of a bitch, this thing's radioactive. Must be a leak in it, It's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, Bob, if you remember,
Yeah.
Boy, that explains a lot, don't it?
Well,
Yeah.
our brother, when he was in the army,
Oh,
he was
fuck,
in
Mike.
he was in the nuclear department, and
Oh, yeah. He worked on nuclear weapons.
he lost his hair a lot sooner.
Oh.
He got deep skin cancer.
Yeah, he got cancer bad,
And he was working
man.
at a nuclear silo.
Yeah, he was radioactive, man. He went nuts. He was
Now,
the one
our-
transitioning.
Oh,
So, yeah.
Bob, just let you know, our friend Karen Holton, that we were on her channel, she
Yeah.
says she's been experimented no more than once. And,
Oh,
and if
cool.
somebody asked her, did she get paid? And she wrote, Karen asked her, was it Karen or was it Dina P? Or somebody asked her if she got
I
paid.
would
She wrote,
die if
no.
I didn't.
They told me I would die if I didn't allow it.
My God. That's pretty serious. Now, she's Canadian, right? So that's okay over there. So it's Canadian. That's fine.
So it's
No
all right.
offense
It's
to
all
people-
right for Canadians.
No offense. She knows she's laughing with me. I'm not laughing at her. She's laughing with us together. She's like, yeah, I'm Canadian. So they experiment with us. Like when I was in England, I said I always noticed all the women had thin hair. All the women that had children had thin hair, and I'm like, why do you have thin hair? Because they don't give them prenatal vitamins as part of their free medical stuff. I go, oh, that sucks. Shit, somebody should have known that with prenatal vitamins, they would have thick hair and healthy children. They didn't care.
According to this, she says she's still recovering.
I
That was in
believe you.
2006.
You're Canadian. I believe you. What I saw in England, I believe it in Canada. I believe you.
Yeah.
She's not lying, guys. They do a lot of it. When you have free social medicine, they experiment on the entire people. You're not paying for no medical. Everybody's experimented on, including Canada, including Australia, including New Zealand, including Canada. Everybody. But America, you have private medicine, so you get to pick and choose what you want. You know, it's private medicine.
But now, but Bob, let me ask you
Yeah.
this: do you think? But okay, let's just say you got some kind of a horrible sickness, disease,
Yeah.
sickness, right?
Down with the sickness.
You don't have say they tell you that you have a year left in life, whatever.
Yeah,
they tell you a
I've
year,
been told that.
3, 6
Hey,
months,
Eric.
and
Hey.
they say they're going to give you an experimental drug. Aren't you going to do that anyway? I mean, aren't
Hey,
you going to
Eric.
say yes?
Eric, you're at the halfway
What?
point. You should do the disclaimer again right now.
Well, I mean, if I was gonna die, I wouldn't do anything. I just go off and die. I look forward to it. Thank God. It's like, oh, I can finally die. I'll take it. No, I don't want any of their pills. I don't want any of their medicine. Now, having said that, like Eric, you and I both know when I was younger and in Seattle, Dad and I would always go to the VA. I'd volunteer for everything. Remember, I was like, it's free, free flu shots, free this shot. Me and Dad would always get it, whatever they offered. I volunteered for whatever they wanted. Again, I was one of the first people to ever take Klonopin. It was like one of the first people. It was before it hit the market. I was taking Klonopin. I was wasted. So I volunteered to do those things for certain pills because I didn't care. Kind of what you say, but not now. I wouldn't do it now. Now I wouldn't. Like Eric, the question comes at me. I would have done it then because I did do it then, but I wouldn't do it now. I don't know what.
We all did a lot of things back in them younger days that we wouldn't do now.
Yeah,
Bob.
yeah, but live and learn now, right? That's how. Even
Well,
Karen is like, I'm never doing that again. I'm never volunteering for shit again.
Well,
She's still recovering.
I'm glad you brought that up, Bob, because I'm
Yeah.
starting a new poll right now in the chat, people. Would you volunteer to do an experiment? I'm asking
Yeah.
people right now in the chat. Vote right now. Would you volunteer to do an experiment? By play that, I got a 60-second. It's one of those shorts, but it's the Russians doing a test where they keep you up for 30 days and they want to see what you do.
Oh, the
days.
Russian sleep experiment.
Here we go.
Oh
Yep.
no.
Here we go.
Oh,
What happened to these 5 prisoners of war?
Are you ready? Here we go.
What happened to these 5 prisoners of war? In the 1940s in Soviet Russia, 5 war prisoners were put in a gas chamber that prevented them from sleeping for 30 days. The first few days were pretty normal, but slowly over the next few days, it got darker and more sinister. On the 9th day, one of the prisoners started screaming and didn't stop till he tore his vocal cords. The other prisoners proceeded to block the windows so the researchers couldn't see inside. On day 15, the researchers shut off the gas and went inside, but they were met with a horrific sight as the prisoners had cut out their organs, but somehow still alive from time to time. They begged and screamed for the gas to be turned back on. They were finally locked back in the chamber, but one of the researchers locked himself in the chamber with them to try and figure out what had happened. But with only one prisoner left, he asked, "Who are you?" And he simply replied, "I'm the evil part of your mind, only kept inside by sleeping." So,
all right. So what do you, Bob, sound like you know about that story? Tell us.
Yeah, I knew all about it.
That was terrifying.
Well, number one, it was not real. We debunked it in parapsychology class. So it was a propaganda thing. It was against the United States. It was just to scare fucking United States people. It was to scare our intelligence department from doing that themselves. You know, they just made that up. There was no evidence for that. And all the pictures.
Anybody around the world tried that experiment on anybody?
Well, they've done that. Yeah, they've done it.
But
they've done it. Not for 30 days. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it because you can't. Because number one, your brain, your neurotransmitters require oil, right? It's like you oil your engine. It's driving a car without oil. What happens to your engine without oil? It's fucking overheats and it blows up. So if you don't sleep, when you go to REM sleep, that's when oil is secreted into your neurotransmitters, which is like oiling the sprockets or oiling your engine in your car. So if you don't sleep, you don't have oil.
Look, here we go. Look, and I know it's not Tell the Truth Thursday.
Yeah.
So I'm only going to say a little bit because I don't really want to go there. But obviously, if you don't think you can stay up 30 days, your ass has never done meth. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, but even then, they have pass out points. I mean, you could get REM.
Right.
Yeah, you can't do 30. There's nobody can do it. They can't. They die. You die.
I've seen people on that stuff go wide open
dead
for 45, 50 days straight before they go out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, meth heads with the green, yellow teeth. Yeah.
But they go totally nuts, man.
Let's type
they
it
go
in.
insane.
You ain't never saw Breaking Bad. Come on, man.
They have a heart attack and die.
Survive.
Unless they've done it now in this reality. They're like, oh, hell no.
For 30 days. Let's see.
I had the unfortunate disadvantage of being around people in the 90s that did that stuff, and I know what I'm talking about.
It says
here, you're right.
But here we go. It says the longest recorded time without sleep is 264 hours or just over 11 days. Although it's unclear exactly how long humans can survive without sleep, it isn't long before the effects of sleep deprivation starts to show. After only 3 or 4 nights without sleep, you can start to hallucinate.
Yeah, well, then you have a heart attack at some point.
See, I disagree with that because I've seen people stay up 3 times that long at least on meth in front of my eyes. I did not say they were still alive now.
That's what I'm saying. Okay,
I'm just saying
it's plausible it can be done.
Okay.
It's plausible it can be done, but they will die.
Hey, Bob, I got a great idea.
Yeah. What's that?
Let's do a live broadcast 7 days straight, or as long as, and Dan, you're going to be our test subject.
No,
that'd be cool. I want to see what happens.
I do good to stay awake through the show.
No, you're going to do 11 days straight. So we're gonna have to arrange for you to get
when
some
Dr. Wu does his long 5-hour schmeal show, I never make it through it. I'm always passing out before him.
But in theory, if somebody's on meth, I'm just saying in theory, they could be sitting there. They're showing the people's eyes are wide open, but technically they're sleeping.
Yeah.
That's very possible. A days or
yeah.
It is interesting. Hold on. New mothers go for days without sleep. Yeah, that's true too.
Well, yeah, you just had a baby and your hormones are like bouncing all over the place. You go in and out, so you might get a 5 or 10 minute. In fact, when I was in the military, they always remind us that Geneva Convention says that we're only required to get 2 hours of sleep a night. We're only required. And in fact, we got only 2 hours of sleep a night sometimes. And that sucked.
You know, the Nazis
insane.
talking about earlier.
But you could get 2 hours.
The Nazis
you get 1 hour, 2 hours. You can. Okay. I think my internet.
I said the Nazis are the ones who introduced the meth thing to keep their soldiers awake on the front lines longer.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
That's one of the Nazi experiments.
Yeah, actually, not just them. A lot of militaries have experimented with certain things to try to keep people awake.
Oh yeah, they have.
Yeah,
meth.
That's what Danny
meth
just said.
Was government made.
Yeah, that's what
government made meth.
That's what Danny just said. Nazi, they tried. They put meth on their soldiers on the front lines.
Yeah, their soldiers had meth, and they had cocaine. They had meth, they had cocaine, they had all kinds of drugs. They even, in fact, when they the truth serum, people talk about truth serums. What is truth serum? It's LSD. It's just LSD. it's truth serum is LSD. So they used all of that, all across the board, all of them drugs on people, and they still do. Yeah.
I'm not going to go into the ingredients of sodium pentothal, but trust me, it's not LSD.
I need lots of sleep or I can't function. That's true.
Yeah, I sleep now. I sleep my ass off. Well, I have insomnia, so I'll wake up, I'll go back to sleep, I'll wake up, go back to sleep. Even after 30 beers, I might sleep maybe 2 hours, wake up, take a long hellacious piss, and then go back and lay back down again. Try to get another hour and a half of sleep or two. Sometimes it depends.
I do got one more video to show, but so far with the voting, would you volunteer to do an experiment? 25% of people said yes, and 75% of people said no. So for you
change it like this though. Would you do it for money?
I've always been the one doing the experiments on people. I've never been the guinea pig.
Well,
would you do it for money?
We're gonna play the last video. I'll just tell people now. Why would I? What caused me to bring up this subject?
Eric's transitioning.
Oh my God!
No. Let me show you guys.
Oh, thank God!
In the VA, I saw this flyer, and it says, marching one for veterans with arthritis of the knee. There's a new trial. It asks you, do you receive an injection in your knees, which I have? Do I have smartphone and all that? And there's a new research study. Basically, they got this brand new drug, and it's not tested out to the public yet. So they took it to the military, the VA, and said, would anybody volunteer for it? And you guys know what? I volunteering for this. In fact,
it's a steroid, right?
That my first day appointment is March 6th to talk about the procedure, and the first ejection is in April. And I told Bob, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a recorder when I go into it. I'm going to voice record the whole conversation about this experiment drugs so people can hear what they're asking. Now, if you look at this flyer, I'm telling you guys.
Unless you sign a non-disclosure, a non-disclosure.
That's what the guys in the VA watch this right now.
Yeah,
that's
you
why
sign a non-disclosure paper, you can't do it.
That's why I left the number out. I left who's running it. There's no names on this paper. I took it all out.
Yeah, good.
Because I know there's some stupid people out there that will make phone calls just to do it. But so there's no numbers. There's nothing on here. So nobody knows where this is happening at. But
smart.
I said, I'm going to volunteer. What the hell? Why not? Stick it in. I want to see what's going to happen.
Let me give you a reason why not. Eric gets the shot. That night he goes home and he turns into a teenage werewolf and kills some people.
Yeah.
Good reason why.
Steroids.
You guys, I got to show you this.
Don't do it, Eric. It'll make your penis fall off. Yeah, because
steroids.
It's
not a side effect, man. Come on, you got to be careful with that.
That's what she's saying.
You're taking a steroid.
Dan, like I told Bob, I'm doing this for you guys.
Don't do it for us,
I'm
Eric.
live for all of you.
You're doing a Jesus. You're sacrificing yourself for us.
You're talking to the guy that's put off knee surgery for 14 years now because they don't want to get it. Well, I'm crawling on the ground. They can change it. I'm okay.
And for the record, nobody could just qualify for that type of testing. You guys all know I had an MRI done on air. I told everybody I had an MRI done. And when they looked at MRI, they're like, oh my God, you're perfect. You're exactly what we need to do this on. So I said, okay,
yeah.
You know what?
I need one of them.
My wife knows.
Well, what she's trying to say is that your wife might not want you to have a baby Gerber dick.
Oh, God. Well, half the people watching.
She's saying you should check with your partner to make sure she's okay with you not having a large penis. It's a steroid.
but
no, we're playing her.
If you look at life,
no, he's serious, Eric. It can happen.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but let me bring this up. When you look at life, Bob knows this, that insurance companies do not want to cover nothing for you to recover. They don't want to help you. They don't want to pay for nothing in a way where you're walking around, right? You're having pain. The insurance companies don't want to help you. So it's almost like in a small way, they kind of force you because you have this pain. It's on the x-rays. It's on the MRI, but nobody wants to cover it. So
hey, well, it might work out good for you, Eric. Remember when they were testing Viagra, they were testing it for a blood pressure medicine, and the erection thing was just a side effect.
Yeah.
So anything's possible.
Yeah, anything's possible. But Dina, I'm doing this for all of you.
Well, good luck on the side effects, Eric. Hope you don't turn into a werewolf and eat people.
So here's the thing, though. Eric might get a placebo, though. We don't know. It's a 50-50. Eric might be on the placebo side.
Don't know. And that's why I'm going to record to share with you guys what they're saying they're giving me, so you guys all witness this firsthand. So if I don't do a show 1 week, and I don't tell nobody why I'm not doing the show, if Daily Dan and Bob don't know why I'm not doing the show, there's something must have happened. And all of you guys could research to find out, did I turn to a werewolf?
I don't know.
Did I lose my manhood?
Did it fall right off? Did it fall off? Oh my God, everything fell off.
On that note, has anybody heard from Long Island Bigfoot lately, Mike? Just curious. Because they've been finding body parts all in this neighborhood, like people's heads and people's legs and people's arms this week.
I mean, you know what? I haven't been following people's channels. I mean, I've been so busy. Why has he not done a show in a while?
I hadn't seen him on or nothing lately. I was just curious. I mean, I ain't saying nothing, but somewhere up there in Long Island, they found a head and some severed legs, and I think Bigfoot might be ripping people apart now. Mine speak might have went the wrong way. So
maybe Bigfoot.
Dina said she has on Facebook.
I don't see him in the chat. He's always here.
But Daily Dan, Dina P says on Facebook I have.
Okay, well, tell him that Daily Dan and Eric was worried about him. Yeah. We was afraid Bigfoot doesn't rip his head off.
I don't care.
So I got one more
video.
We
don't give a shit.
I got one more video where this girl is going to explain a couple different experiments that they said have been done in history. So here's a few of them.
Paranoid means you're aware of only 10% of the problem. Oren Kangas. I'm Amy Holmes with the Hot List at theblaze.com. Shocking new revelations that the Environmental Protection Agency deliberately exposed test subjects to potentially fatal levels of toxic pollutants. As reported by the Daily Caller, the EPA conducted 5 experiments in 2010 and 2011 on the effects of pollution and diesel fumes. People with asthma, heart problems, as well as elderly volunteers were exposed to levels up to 50 times greater than the agency itself says is safe for humans. But most ominously, an in-house investigation discovered that, quote, exposure risks were not always consistently represented to the participants, and that, quote, the EPA did not include information on long-term cancer risks. But this is
when I heard that fun part, like, what do they mean? Like, did they take volunteers and move them to San Francisco with the exhaust and all that? Like, increase it? Like, how do you test? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, in anthropology or in sociology, if you wanted to do a test, you'd grab a set of test pays or people and you move them to the state, and their job is to walk around with like a phone and an app and take long walks and jog and then write down how they feel. And then it goes into a data bank, whatever, and all the people that are there, like they pay for their apartment, they pay for everything. They're probably on campus, probably on like probably in some college campus dorms or something.
And on top of that, Dr. Wu, they did a blood test, and they can tell by how many parts per million the pollution level in your blood is too, by your oxygen intake into your blood. And
I mean, that's legit. That's good stuff. I think that's a good thing. And so but what they're saying is that all the data that all these people had punched in for whatever walks they had isn't being represented correctly, which means the data is being skewed on purpose because they don't want, the car companies don't want everyone finding out that diesel's killing you in your lungs.
True.
So that's what
the reason we're skewing the results, but that's good enough, I guess.
You're skewing the results, yeah.
The real reason they're doing that is they want it to be a higher concentration of pollution in the air, so the cities that are having this higher pollution, namely Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York, can get a lot more money from the federal government to help them battle it.
Yeah,
that's the real reason.
We need more money.
Like that, right?
Well, let's hear more.
We need pollution money.
Let's hear more of experiments.
Not the first time the government has dosed unsuspecting citizens. Far from it. The U.S. government has a long and infamous history of secret and highly dangerous human experiments. For years, the military released bacteria among millions of unsuspecting people to study the effects of biological warfare. At hearings in 1977, the Pentagon admitted that bacteria and chemical particles were sprayed over San Francisco, St. Louis, and 236 other populated locations. The government denies that the bacteria can cause illness, but in San Francisco, nearly a dozen people became seriously ill and one victim died.
You know what's weird when I heard that one is so the government is not saying they did not spray. They're just saying that there's no evidence of people being sick from what they have sprayed. So they're basically admitting that we sprayed you, but you're not getting sick from us. I mean, what is that?
Yeah, that sounds fucking fishy.
You
It
know,
don't even sound professional.
I remember back when I was a kid, these big trucks used to come around and spray this stuff in there to kill all the mosquitoes every summer. And everybody else would go out and look at it and talk about the spraying. And like it wasn't no big deal to be standing in a cloud of pesticide. I was one of the ones who would like go in the house and sit in my room and kind of like pack towels under the door because I was afraid that some of that stuff would get on me and stuff. But I remember a lot of people didn't care, and a lot of them got sick and ain't still around now.
I mean, I'm just trying to imagine this. The government, what do they do? They set out planes to spray everybody?
Yeah,
There
I've
was
heard
some
about
study
this.
about these chemtrail things. Honestly, they are, but I'm not going to go into none of that. That's a whole other show when we talk about chemtrails and are they spraying us.
I gotta reach out. I gotta
After
restart
World War
my,
II for
internet,
3
guys. I'm faded.
No problem. Let's hear a little more.
decades, the military and the Atomic Energy Commission conducted hundreds of secret experiments on the effects of radiation on humans, even injecting some unsuspecting patients with plutonium. Some of the most infamous experiments were conducted by the CIA under the covert project name MKUltra, a program to develop methods of mind control. One such experiment, called Operation Midnight Climax, actually involved the
Midnight Climax. That sounds like a porn, something.
I can't concentrate on what she's saying because I keep trying to figure out if she's wearing a Blue Oyster Cult shirt.
She's wearing a red crescent on a cross. Implications.
See, I was wondering too. Is that we can't hear what she's saying because we're concentrating on this evil, whatever it is she's wearing.
spy agency recruiting prostitutes. The ladies of the night dosed their unsuspecting Johns with LSD as CIA agents watched the results from behind a one-way mirror. Perhaps the most notorious case of government human experimentation is the Tuskegee study. 600 impoverished African-American men from Macon County, Alabama, 399 of whom were infected with syphilis, were recruited to receive free medical care for their, quote, bad blood. They were never told of and were never actually treated for their infection. The purpose of the bogus treatment was to observe the progress of the disease. The study went on without the men's knowledge for 40 years. So as the saying goes...
I mean, okay, like...
Are we under attack or something? Dr. Wu got taken out. Now they're after me.
No, he said that his internet's getting bad. He has to restart.
Oh, there we go.
So they told these people to have bad blood. I'm wondering what they meant. Like you got bad blood. You should do this experiment. Like, what's considered bad blood? How do you? Did they test all these people first to see what kind of blood they have before they take them? That's kind of stuff I would want to know. Like, how do you say, hey, you guys got bad blood, and this drug here is going to help with bad blood? I mean, what's bad blood? Is it cancer cells? Is it what?
Yeah, I'm not going to say what I really believe about that right now.
About bad blood?
Everybody thinks I'm crazy already. I don't want to make it worse.
But if everybody thinks you're crazy, it's not going to hurt, right?
Well, I make videos about Bigfoot on YouTube. And what do you think my neighbors think? Honestly.
Well, actually, I don't.
We all know there's something that 90% of my neighbors think I'm dealing with a big gruesome bear thing. A bear is some natural animal. But there are a few neighbors that say, hey, yeah, we saw the Big footprints and whatever. It's 50-50. But I have a lot of neighbors that think I'm crazy when I bring up Bigfoot. And I know they watch YouTube because I hear them talking.
I think that's him.
Dr. Wu.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, a lot better now. I had to reboot my internet. I don't know why. Every time I come on to a live show like with you, it always does the glitches. It puts like a bullet into my shit.
I don't know. Last time I was watching you live, all of a sudden you froze up looking like Superman. Just because you're flying, and the whole thing went dead on your live stream.
Wow.
So Bob.
Yeah, they shut me off all the time.
On this video here, I want to know what you think, because they were talking about the word bad blood. I want you to hear this for a second.
Tuskegee study. 600 impoverished African-American men from Macon County, Alabama, 399 of whom were infected with syphilis, were recruited to receive free medical care for their, quote, bad blood. They were never told of and were never actually treated for their infection. The purpose of the bogus treatment was to observe the progress of the disease. The study went on without the men's knowledge.
So what do you think, Bob? They were ejected, and they wanted to see how they react to it.
Yeah, they wanted to see how they react to it. So they probably pay them money. And if you say yes and take money, I don't feel sorry for you.
That's the thing. See, whenever they do these experiments, they go to the poorest, impoverished, homeless people who need the money they can find, and a lot of people have no choice. If you want to eat, hey, that's the way to make some money tonight, And that's
Roger, good one. Yeah. Taylor Swift song, "We Got Bad Blood."
Yeah, if you volunteer and you get paid for it, no one's twisting your arm. I don't give a fuck what your race is. They're just bringing out all kinds of but these individuals were targeted. Well, yeah, because if a lot of people of color will have a sickle cell anemia, they have a high rate of sickle cell, so they will choose them specifically for sickle cell anemia experiments. As in, other peoples of other genetics will have another experiment based on whatever So there's a higher case of colon cancer in peoples of the below tropical belts genetics, and then people above it have a different type of cancer. There's a whole different, always goes down to blood and what your nutrition is.
I only got one thing to say about that.
But
I only got one thing to say about
that. When is it, technically, in your guys' opinion, when is it crossing the line? Even though they're offering you money and stuff, not fully knowing what they have is a full danger. I mean, isn't there something crossing the line if they can't even guarantee that you're going to survive from this?
If they give you all the information, you read it through, you have to be smarter than the situation, and they are basic. As long as they don't skew the data, then it's a legitimate test. The thing is, it's a test. They don't know what it's going to do. They don't know what it's going. That's why it's a test.
See,
you know what I mean?
Look at Dana B. Bob. She wrote, "I had a friend that did that. She got leukemia and died."
Wow.
There it is.
See,
Yeah,
I only got one thing to say about that, Bob. Look at here, and this is straight up, man. The best way to survive it is stand in the back and don't volunteer for nothing.
Yeah,
that's what my grandpa used to say how he survived World War II. I stood in the back and didn't volunteer for nothing.
Yeah.
But how about this, Bob? Let me ask you this one. You and I have both been in the military. Remember starting boot camp, you go down this line, right?
Oh, I know what
and you walk down the line with your arms down, and they inject you with these air gun shots. And they don't tell you what they're shooting in you at all.
No.
Now, because you signed up, you're basically now the property of the government. It's the same as saying do whatever you want.
Volunteered. Yeah, you volunteered, and that includes all the bells and the whistles and other duties as assigned. So it's on you too. I always tell people, I don't want to. Don't cry me a freaking river if you volunteer. Don't cry me a river if you signed a piece.
That was what that was, right? That was your immunizations for all them bacterias and diseases you could face in foreign countries.
Now,
Bob,
you said you volunteer for. You said you volunteer for a lot of testing, which I'm volunteering that I'm going to make public with people that I'm going to do. Was there any one of those experiments that you felt that kind of screwed you over a little bit, that kind of messed you up?
Yeah, I was addicted to Klonopin. I was addicted to it. I liked it. And then they all of a sudden banned it. They said no more Klonopin. It's causing an addiction problem. Well, it was correct. I was addicted to it. I had a rough withdrawal. So did it work? Yeah. However, your tolerance builds up. Like with any narcotic, it builds up, and then you have to take more and more and more. And then your addiction's way overboard. So they had to stop it because of the addiction. So me being addicted to it gave them information that this is no good. So yeah, it benefited. So me taking that pill did benefit because I was addicted to it, and every other veteran that took it was addicted to it.
They knew it was bad, so they knew you were addicted to it. Did they give you anything to help you get off of it? Like, did they try to help you get off of it, or it's like, well, you just got to do it yourself?
Yeah, you're equivalent to an aspirin. You know what I mean? They're a non-addictive, whatever. But when you're already addicted, man, oh my God. It's like, this ain't going to do shit for me, man. I'm addicted.
You know, I never lost Klonopin at all.
And that's
what was good to sleep. They were a good sleeping pill for me.
What about you, Dan? Have you ever volunteered for any kind of a testing? Just to test, to volunteer medically?
Can't use I don't like using bad language on your show, dude, but no, nobody's going to experiment on me. I'm no guinea pig. I'm not taking nothing experimental. No shots, no vaccines, no nothing. Nobody's taking none of that shit.
But have you ever taken a shot not knowing what it is?
No, I 99% of the time I refuse. I don't even like them taking my blood out for that little needle thing. I can't stand needles. No, I ain't take a shot for nothing. I ain't had nobody give me a shot of no chemical except for a tetanus shot when I had blood poison so bad they were talking about it could kill me. So then I had to take some tetanus injections. Other than that, no, nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, the good news is you're getting steroids.
How chemicals being shot in your veins. I've never been one of them people. I hate the thought of somebody taking a needle and putting something in me. It's just I had to. You know why?
No, I was saying
what got me. I got bit by a dog, by this fox, and it had the rabies, and I had to go through that rabies treatment with all them needles. And man, ever since then, dude, you come at me with a needle, I freaking tense up.
Oh, so you had PTSD because of those 20 shots in the stomach. I mean,
I wasn't real thrilled with a needle. I didn't have flu shots and none of that stuff before then. You know, I don't like needles, but after that, I really hated the mothers.
I can see that. Now, Doctor, what were you saying?
Now, I ain't got no problem with
no. My internet's dropping, so I No,
can
I'm
talk
saying
pills.
you're only taking steroids. Okay. If you're taking just steroids, it's pretty safe.
I
It's
do.
a steroid.
In the 80s and
You're
the 90s, I took every pill you can possibly imagine. If it's in pill form, morphine, Xanax, Laratabs, if you named a pill, I probably took it. I started when I was 13, taking my mama's Quaaludes and stealing them out of a pocketbook. I had fun with pills most of my young life. I don't take pills unless the doctor prescribes it for me now for the last 20 years. But in my youth, I love the pills.
So what is everybody what are you guys doing this weekend? So like Bob, you got a show coming up?
Yeah, after this one, I'm gonna do mine.
No
It's
strikes,
supposed
all
to
your
pour down
strikes are
rain.
done. It's all clear. You're no effects of your live shows now.
Couldn't hear half of that, but
No, what I mean is you're back to normal. You don't you
Oh
do
yeah,
live
back to
shows
normal.
again. Yeah.
Yeah. I do my live show again.
You want to call him normal?
Yeah, I'm doing one. I'm doing one after this because it's Friday, and then the rain's coming in. It's here now. It's been raining. I have tarp over. You guys can't.
Well, since I'm live with you guys, and I'm not in the chat as a moderator, let me do the disclaimer for you real quick. If you watch the Dr. Wu Show, Paranormal Highway will not be held responsible for your mental health. You watch this fella at your own risk. Our official Paranormal Highway disclaimer for the Dr. Wu Show.
Well,
I got a lot of weed, a lot of beer.
Beyond that, I'm looking at the poll one last time. 18 votes on this new one. 22% says yes, they would volunteer, and 78% says no. And I guess also depends on what kind of thing you're volunteering for. I mean, if you're already sick, if you already got some kind of pain, sometimes you're like, what I got to lose, you know?
Well, it depends on what you're doing too. I mean, if it's a narcotic, hell no. If it's a type of mild steroid for like a bad knee, it's no different than having a cortisone shot. It's no big deal.
Oh yeah,
you're fine.
I had two of those. I had one beginning of this year and one last year. Those cortisone shots, they only make you feel good maybe one day, and then you're back to normal. It's almost like you go through that whole cortisone shot thing. And I mean, maybe I'm rare, but it never did anything to me. Only like one day it makes you feel all right. Then the next day you're back to normal, like you never had a shot.
In 1980 something, I let them stick that needle in my leg and give me that shot in the knee. That's what I broke my knee playing football when I was like 16 in high school, and my knees always give me trouble. It was hurting so bad back in 1988, 89. I let them do that shot thing, and that needle was so horrible. I said, I don't care how bad this mother hurts. No, they're never sticking that needle in my leg again.
Well, anyway,
that's how much I hate needles, man.
The cortisone shot is a huge
center?
needle, and what they do first is they actually spray your leg first or your back. They spray it to get that numb because the needle they put into for cortisone is like that long.
Then I discovered hydrocodone, and it wasn't necessary no more.
Wow.
Well, beyond that, we're gonna end the show here. So if you guys gonna do any experiments out there, do it at your own risk. Again, this show was for entertainment purposes only. We don't know for a fact what's real and what's not. These are just stories.
Information only.
Information only. Information. You know, Dr. Wu.
We're not medical doctors.
And you should believe nothing Dr. Wu says at all. Nothing.
So beyond that, we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys all next time. On the Paranormal Highway.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war.